Greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this video for Fork This Life, written by Jinxes 2011. This video contains chapter 40, and as always I hope that you enjoy, and if you do, please don't forget to fucking subscribe. Chapter 40. It's time to duel some fools. A halfling, an alpha fairy, and a fork. We make for a strange bunch, to say the least. And none of us look physically imposing. I don't want to sound cynical, but it was only a matter of time before someone tried to pick on us. I wasn't expecting it to happen when it did, as we were walking down one of the hallways towards the library. But it wasn't too surprising. The hallway was empty, and they obviously thought that it was a perfect opportunity. The three of them, going in the opposite direction, deliberately barged into us while we were walking, immediately knocking Luya to the ground, light as he was. Immediately the large boy leading the trio said menacingly, "Get out of our way, pipsqueaks, or someone's gonna get hurt." In response, Lamar punches him straight in the face, breaking his nose. He looks ready to move on to the other one, so I hurriedly pull him with telekinesis. "Lamar, stop," I exclaim. "Injuring other students outside of dueling grounds is grounds for a fines or expulsion." Lamar pauses, and the guy he punched reels back, wiping blood from his nose. "Like I care, idiot. Nobody knows we're here. Trash their asses." He snarls, and his two friends raise their fists. "Nobody except the teacher that will round the corner behind us in 10 seconds, I reply. The three of them pause for a moment before one of the others says, "You're lying. No way you could know that." "Well, you'll only have to wait 3 more seconds to find out," I say. The utter certainty in my voice actually makes them stop for a few seconds and look at the hallway intersection, some 20 meters behind us. Huya takes the opportunity to get back up. A couple seconds later, a woman in a distinctive teacher's robe steps around the corner. "Got lucky this time, pipsqueak." The leading boy spits, turning around and starts walking back the other way. "Next time, they won't be." "Then how about we settle this in a duel?" I call after him. They stop. "A duel?" the leader turns. "You're on, fork boy." That was a good pun, but a sad thing is, I don't think he intended it to be what it was. "Is there a problem here?" A voice comes from behind us. Smark starts saying, "Yeah, they Of course, if the teacher found out about Lamar breaking the student's nose, whatever the situation, it wouldn't be ideal, so I force his mouth shut with telekinesis. "No problem, miss," I say calmly. "We've decided to settle our dispute in an official duel." "Is this true?" she asks, looking at the other group. "Yes, miss," they says, without even a hint of aggression in his voice he held before. She narrows her eyes, looking between the two groups. "If that reassures you, you could escort us to the dueling grounds," I propose. The teacher looks at her wristed watch like a magical tool. "Wish I had one. Have a few minutes to spare," she nods. "But quickly now." The teacher hastens us towards the dueling grounds, and only leaves us when she's found the teacher overseeing duels and brought us to them. "Let me guess, a duel between the two of your groups?" the teacher asks. "Yeah," says the leader of the group. "Actually, I was thinking more me versus their group," I reply. A barrage of rebuttals come from behind me. "Wait, what?" Huya says confused. Lamar furrows his brow. "What are you doing, Gerald?" "Are you insane?" Spark mutters. "Insane? Not since I was about 8 months old," I reply. "Just trust me on this." "Something's not right here. He's too confident," one of them whispers. "It's one of the three now. What's more advantageous do you want?" I say to them. "How about I keep one arm tied behind my back?" "Oh wait, I don't have any." "All right." No more arguing. The teacher cuts in. "Is the duel happening or not?" Yeah, it's happening, if only to get a guy to shut up," the leader replies. We register our names and races, and because I'm such a nice guy, I pay the duel fee, 50 Ro. I carry my card in my library most of the time, just in case. The fee covers the use of the dueling room, teacher supervision, and healing, if necessary. It also is a deterrent for people using the duels to settle every single argument, and crowds of rooms are 24/7. As it is, there are several rooms available. We all get guided into one of them. A small one, since the first-year students we don't really need large amounts of space. We enter along with the dual referee, and take our position at the opposite ends of the room. On the surface, these rooms look exactly like the practice rooms, but functionally they are anything but. Do you want a duel to be in a private or open? The referee asks. Open, I answer. My friends outside will want to watch. The referee looks at the other group who collectively shrug. The referee pushes a button on the controller in his hands. There is no visible change, but I know that the walls are now like a one-way mirror. We can't see out, but they can see in and hear what's going on in here. Naturally, there's magic in place to block out light and sound beyond a certain intensity and volume. Activating dampener, the referee says, and I drop to the ground. Are you okay? He asks, concerned. Don't worry, I knew this would happen, I reassure him. My flight is based on the psychic ability. The room is also able to negate non-magical ability, ki, psi, and so on. This is to ensure that the duels are based purely on magical skill and power. Having read through the rule book long ago, I was aware of this. Knowledge is power. I know all about my opponent's students in the third term. They took identical classes to ensure they stayed together. They are magically gifted, but not academically so, and have had a difficulty in learning which led them to doing the same 3 classes in the current and previous term. They specialize in fire elemental destruction magic, and they also know the same earth magic. They're vocal casters, and as far as I can tell, they're at pretty low levels. I know practically everyone in the school, except for people who stay in cloaked areas most of the time, like teachers, librarians, alchemists, artificers, and so on. On the other hand, they know absolutely nothing about me, besides the obvious. Very well, then, if both parties are ready, the referee prompts. The others nod, and I say, ready. The referee nods. Then let the duel begin in 3, 2, 1, go. My opponents act as soon as they hear the word go, their lips moving to cast a spell. But I move quicker, beginning to act as the very moment he finishes enunciating the word go. The very first thing I do is form a magic circle in front of me using my mana, completing it almost instantly. A blinding light emanates from it, causing them to curse and cover their eyes. As the one closest to it, I naturally am the one who gets most of the light in my eye. But it does nothing but cause my eye to become blind for a few moments, when I still can see perfectly through my mana sight. I send out 3 balls of mana, not dense enough to be visible to the normal sight, towards the 3 of them. They aren't traveling particularly fast, so they manage to reach. The 3 of them have recovered and start casting, but the sound of it, they're casting fireballs. I can probably take them without making much damage, but it'd be stupid to risk it for no reason. Drawing out some more mana, I create another formation in front of myself, creating a small wall of earth that blocks the fireballs. Since they have no actual mass or force, even something like this can stop them. Normally, even the excess heat from blocking this would have enough to burn, but I don't burn. Seeing my wall, 2 of them split off on the sides and attack from unblockable angles. Remembering that assignment I had from Earth Magic a while ago, I form another formation, creating walls around me. At this point, my mana has reached each of them, so I begin shaping them into formations beneath their very feet. Unbeknownst to them, I start this one from my left for no particular reason. The formation this time is a simple fire spell, but I turn up the heat. Almost immediately the bottom of the robes catch light, and starts to scream in pain as his legs burn. I wince internally. Samuel eliminated, the referee calls out. Hearing that, I stop the spell, and is carried away by the referee, who extinguishes the fire with ease and starts to heal him. I start forming the second formation under the leader's feet, but abandon it in mere seconds as he casts some sort of fire to heat-resistant spell. Another weakness of vocal magic is that it can give your opponents an idea of what magic you're casting. I mean, assuming the opponent can see your formation, they can theoretically do the same thing, but it is much more difficult. Since the leader was a no-go, I instead opt for the third, who apparently isn't either able to cast the same spell or didn't realize that it's a good idea. and instead hurls another useless fireball at me. Soon after, he is eliminated as well. Only the leader remains, and fire magic isn't an option. My offensive options with Earth are limited. Unlike fire, Earth has a relatively large weight, so making a projectile is currently outside my realm of abilities. Light magic is a delaying tactic at best, but does that mean that I'm out of offensive options? Not in the slightest. As he creates an earthen spike and starts to stride towards me with a smile that says that he's already won, as if he could actually damage me with that. It is a re-emergence of an old skill seldom used in actual combat. Say hello, my old friend. Magic missile. A dozen needles of mana form in the air above me. His eyes widen, and the mana is so condensed sufficiently to be visible to the human eye. I send them speeding towards him. With a cry of Earth Wall, he creates just that, obviously thinking that would block them. He is gravely mistaken. While I may not be able to control dozens of needles individually, it's well within my abilities to have them split into the other side around the wall and back at him. I should also mention that the mana that was originally going into the formation beneath there was now starting to just disappear. I wasn't going to waste mana like that. I held it in a cloud-like shape until now, when I formed it into another half-dozen needles coming from the other side. He was not wearing armor. His clothing isn't even that thick. None of the needles are particularly powerful, but each of them is enough to penetrate a centimeter deep. Nothing life-threatening, particularly as I avoided all of his internal organs and arteries, but more than enough to stop him from continuing the fight. With every limb of his torso peppered with puncture wounds, he has to have a fight spirit and able to put up a fight now, and he really isn't the type to have fighting spirit. Not to mention, he's out of mana. Maurice eliminated. Gerald wins. The referee announces, quickly pressing the button on the controller, a few restrictions on my side lifting, and I lift myself back into the air, letting all of my spells and magic missiles dissipate. I hadn't moved from my starting position. I still have over half my mana. I doubt they'll bother us again. The door opens back up and I head out. The others are just outside, of course, and they stare at me, slack-jawed. So, we were heading for the library, I say. It's almost the end of the term, and similarly, they're nearly the end of the year. I'm in Dryer's house of the other world, practicing a bit of Terran. I probably won't practice it much more. I think I've got pretty much down for the most part. Maybe I'll start learning Ignitia. Gerald, Drea says, coming through the portal. Are you busy? Not really. What's up? I reply. Well, I've been back at the academy for nearly half a year now, Drea starts, sitting down at the table, and I've been thinking that it's about time that I'm off again. As in, you're going world jumping, I asked, just to confirm. Yeah, I wanted to give you some notice in advance, since you pretty much live here, Drea replies. I'm planning to go after this term ends. I guess I'll need to pay for a bunk in the dorm, I muse. Shouldn't be a problem. Out of curiosity, is there a particular reason you travel to different worlds? Drea nods. Almost every world I go to has a particular focus, a particular ability or skill, or idea that the whole world focuses on. The elemental worlds are the most obvious examples, so obvious that they're outside of the norm. But, even in Arbadak, magic. Here, it's all forest, not that I've explored much, and I've seen worlds where almost every other warrior uses the same weapon. Societies where seamstresses are considered nobles. I want to find out why that is. That is odd, I reply. Something like that can't be a natural occurrence, not if it's almost every world and with a varied focuses. Something or someone would have caused it. That's what I thought, Drea agrees. But the best guess is so far is that it's the gods. But anything related to the gods is difficult to dig into. I can't imagine, I reply. So when do you think you'll be back? Drea shrugs. Hard to say. Whenever I feel it's time. Probably over a year. I suppose I won't see you for a while then, I say. Well, thank you for bringing me here, and best of luck in your journeys. And to you in your studies, he replies. The dorm isn't expensive, but it is one more expense than I had before and then slowly adding up. Not a problem right now, but at some point I'll have to find a source of income. At the same time as organizing that, I update my information with the academy to include my new residents. I don't have many possessions, so it doesn't take long to move them into the house to the dorm. I just have some ink, paper, and a few pencils and my cards. The room houses 6 people, with each having a bed, a desk, a chair, and a couple drawers underneath the bed. The bed itself won't be using, obviously, and the chair I don't have a need for either, just the desk itself and the drawers for storage. The end of the term rolls around again. I pass. Of course, the basic classes are easy enough, so long as you put some effort in. Shortly after the time comes for Dre to leave. He's the only person I know who knows about space magic, so before he goes, I ask what kind of magic I would have to learn before learning space magic. I didn't expect it to be easy, but the list he gives me is quite extensive. The 6 elemental magics and the languages at a minimum of advanced level, basic sympathetic magic, some type of summoning magic as a basic level, scrying or divination magic, expert formation development, basic alchemy and chemical magic, basic artificing, the arcane language, and finally spacious language. Excluding classes for languages, as I would rather self-teach those, that makes at least 17 classes. Pretty much 3 terms if I do 6 a term, and some of those don't sound simple in and of themselves. Not to mention, there are other classes that I want to do. I want to learn at least 2 types of barrier magic, some basic restoration magic, and a good illusion magic. Part of why I'm learning light magic actually. At least advanced artificing, false magic, and expert mana control. The list grows, making for around 25 classes. Over a full year of classes even in ideal conditions. It seems that I won't be returning to Oduya for a while yet. At the library I try and figure out what to do with my break. I have 7 languages to learn, so that's certainly going to be a part of it. Ignitia first, probably. Fact of the matter is that I don't want to learn languages in a class. They would go too slow. I also don't want to learn them from a tutor. I'm not really comfortable meeting with people one-on-one, especially people I don't know. But to be perfectly honest, I don't need to learn how to speak the languages. I'm not a vocal caster. And who in the world would use magical languages to converse? Heck, probably some people. But I have translation skills for that. I know for a fact that Drea doesn't use vocal magic either, so I probably only need to learn the written languages. And that I can do on my own. It's how I learned most of the Terran language. It was now that I learned most of the English language for that matter. The school system doesn't really account for kids who like to read in their free time, so I ended up learning most words from context while reading every work of fiction that I could get my little hands on. Perhaps I could also read some more general, but still educational books. How about this one, Materials and You, on various metals and materials involved in magic. Liquid conductors of mana, common ink, not very conductive, but easy to get, boring. I'm paraphrasing this, obviously. Water, similarly bad, apparently. Magic water, here we go. General name for fluid mixed with water and powdered mana crystals. Conductivity depends on grade of crystals crushed. Can be quite good as also quite expensive. Monster blood depends on how magical the monster was and a number of other factors. Can be difficult to obtain. But when obtained, can often obtained in bulk. There are various specific fluids that are good with specific types of magic. Water from a stream, a swamp, or floating islands. Wait, seriously? Cool. Ancient battlefields and so forth. Dragon's blood. Walking dragon's blood, extremely mana conductive, but obviously near impossible to obtain. Solid conductor of mana, dirt, chalk, stone, and all that's pretty bad. Iron and most other metals are barely any better. Electrum, natural alloy of gold and silver, not bad. Mana crystals can give you good conductivity depending on the grade, but their shape is very different to change. Very good mana storage, mithril, fairly rare and expensive. Hardness improves according to the held mana, and has quite a good mana capacity and conductivity. Adamantium, very rare and expensive. Extremely tough, but worse conductor than even dirt. Adamantium naturally rejects mana, and is often used to create magic-resistant items. Orichalcum, extremely rare, extremely tough, amongst the best-known materials in terms of mana capacity and conductivity. Whoa! Catch this. Indestructite, literally indestructible. Only a few small samples have ever been found or heard of. Every attempt to damage or alter the form of sample has failed, even with the method known as spatial severance, courtesy of the esteemed Theodore Gleinfiel. Every attempt to conduct mana through indestructite has failed. Now that is something I want to absorb. There isn't a section on classes, but it does note that mana can't move through a vacuum. Important to note. Well, that's half an hour gone. What now? The thing is, there are so many different things that can be done with magic, and so many different things to learn, that after the basic class, which is practically an introduction to magic, the more advanced classes are more specialized. So, you don't just have advanced fire magic, you have advanced illusion magic, advanced fire destruction magic, and so on. Now, here's the problem. Sometimes it's not easy to classify magic. For example, the magic I used a while ago to create earthen walls, most people would say that it's creation magic. But what if I created that mid-air and dropped it on someone's head? Destruction magic? If that doesn't convince you, consider the classic stone spike that you chuck at your enemy. Only difference would be between the wall as the shape, and the fundamental components of the formation are identical. It's not just creation and destruction that have overlap either. What would you say if I said that the Academy has healers that specialize in destruction magic? It's true. Most healing is alteration magic, actually, increasing the body's ability to heal itself or resistance to disease. True restoration healing is very difficult and very powerful, I hear. It is the only type of magic that can heal missing limbs and the like. My point here is that anything you learn in any field has a possible applications outside of the normal context. I suppose I should clarify the formal definitions of the different schools, albeit concisely. Creation, magic that creates something purely from magic. Even things like fireballs technically fall under this. Alteration, a magic that changes the properties of something that already exists. That could be shape, hardness, or any number of other things. Amongst the other things, elemental manipulation, like the sort of mole Beastwoman did at the athletics carnival, falls under this. Restoration, magic that returns something to a former state. Some healing magic and other more peculiar magic, like divining and past, fall into this category. Destruction, magic that harms and damages something. You get the picture. Summoning, magic that calls something, often someone, to your location, usually through a medium or a catalyst. What the mole Beastwoman did with those earthen elementals was summoning magic, and so is what Drea did to me, although his method is more of an outlier than the norm. Illusion magic is the effect of the senses or perception. A good example of this one would be my eye magic tool. It seems a bit easier learning Ignatia than it was learning Terran. Maybe it is because I am not bothering with speaking the language, or maybe it is because I now have some experience learning a language. I've been reading a lot of miscellaneous books on monsters, on Ki, on Psi, on the system, and so on. So much interesting information. Apparently, as you level up, the system allows you more access to commands, which is probably why it took me so long to find the games. I didn't have access. There's also the title that you can get 50 skills that allows you to rearrange your skills. I'm quite looking forward to that. I'm only 8 skills out from it, and my status is already quite messy. There are also quite some skills and titles relating to the party system. Ones that do things like increasing the party limit to allow the leader to see the stats like health and mana, and some other useful things. I really don't see myself ever getting those or using those sorts of skills. A new year comes around, and with it a new term. I pick out my new classes. Unfortunately, due to some timetable clashes, I'm not able to do all the classes I was planning on doing. But that's alright. The order isn't critical. Not right now. What I end up with is advanced fire destruction magic, advanced earthen summoning magic, advanced light creation magic, basic darkness magic, basic water magic, and advanced formation development. I have a lot of things I want to learn, and the problem is that I don't know exactly how to learn them. What I want to do with light magic, I'm not sure whether it would be categorized under creation or illusion magic. I think creation is more likely, so that's what I picked. But if it ends up being illusion magic, I'm just going to look through the library and teach myself what I need. My hope for the earth summoning magic is to get a helper that can do the heavy lifting for me. Right now, my single greatest weakness is, well, I'm physically weak. Since my body can't actually get stronger, and I don't know how to make telekinesis that much stronger, this seems like the simplest way. Biomagic, is a pretty obvious why I'm doing that one. And remember that instead of the usual assignment halfway through the term, we'll be having an outing to exterminate monsters as a more practical test of your progress. The teachers on my fire magic class says, finishing up the lesson. Must be nice learning everything so easily, Joyce mutters from the desk next to me as she packs up her things. I never really paid much attention to her. Doesn't matter to me if she has a bone to pick with me, so long as she doesn't throw it. Must be nice. Sleeping, I remark as I leave. End of chapter. And that, my friends, is the end of the video. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please consider supporting the author from the links down below. And if you'd like to support this channel, there are numerous ways listed down below. The easiest of which would be to share this channel, subscribe, like and comment, and all the other stuff that Google wants us to push. But anyways, until the next video, I hope that you all have a good one, and I'll see you then. Cheers.